What if the greatest comeback wasn't televised? What if the real battle wasn't on the pitch, but in silence, in sweat, before sunrise? This is the story of the moment Cristiano Ronaldo nearly vanished from the game. And the moment he refused to let that happen. You've heard the goals. You've seen the trophies. But you've never heard this story. Until now. The crack nobody heard. The noise wasn't loud. Not like in the movies. No sharp snap. No scream. Just a subtle shift, a wrong step, a twist, and then silence. Ronaldo didn't even go down right away. His face barely changed. But he knew. Every footballer knows. The stadium was full that night. It was just another league match. Nothing big, nothing historic. But Cristiano was chasing something. Not goals. Not trophies. Control. He wanted to dominate the tempo of the game, to feel the ball stick to his feet like gravity was helping him. But then, the turf betrayed him. A soft patch. His boot caught for half a second longer than it should have. And when he pivoted, something gave. He played on for 5 more minutes. Ran. Passed. Even smiled. But every movement felt like a lie. And in the locker room afterward, the physio's eyes told him the truth before the scan did. Partial ligament tear. 3 words that sound small, but feel enormous when you live through your legs. Back home, the ice packs did little. What hurt more wasn't the pain, it was the pause. For someone like Ronaldo, time off the pitch wasn't rest. It was torture. He needed motion, rhythm, repetition. Without them, the questions started to whisper. Will I be the same? What if I can't accelerate like before? What if I lose even half a second? He didn't show it, of course. Not to the team. Not to the media. He even joked during rehab, called himself half bionic when they strapped machines to his legs. But the nights? Those were different. One night, alone in his room, he watched an old match, himself, 2 years younger. He saw the way he used to move. Fluid, fearless. And for the first time in his career, doubt crept in. That's when the second crack happened. Not in his knee. In his belief. In belief, that was the real muscle he'd have to rebuild. The mirror he stopped looking into. The rehab center was clean. Too clean. White walls, humming lights, and that constant antiseptic smell. Ronaldo hated it. Not because it was sterile, because it didn't feel like football. Here, there were no fans. No adrenaline. No teammates cracking jokes. Just machines, bands, and cold professionals counting reps. Again, the therapist said. Ronaldo did the stretch. Again. Ankles stiff, thighs sore. His sweat hit the mat like clockwork. The room had no echo. Just rhythm. Every morning was the same. Wake up. Ice the knee. Protein shake. Mobility work. Strength drills. Balance exercises. Then again. And again. But the nights, they were the worst. He'd stopped watching highlights. At first, it was to stay focused. Then, it was to avoid comparisons. Eventually, he even moved the mirror from his hotel room wall. Not because he couldn't stand his reflection, but because he didn't want to see what wasn't there. Speed. Explosiveness. Ease. He knew he was working harder than most. That had always been his thing. Outwork them. Outlast them. But for the first time, working harder didn't feel like enough. It felt like chasing a shadow of himself. One day, during a deep tissue session, he finally spoke. "You think I'll lose a step?" he asked the physio. The man didn't answer at first. Just pressed harder into the muscle. "You might," he finally said. "But maybe that's not the step that wins games." That sentence stuck. Maybe the game had more layers than he'd believed. Maybe power and pace were just chapters. Not the whole book. So he started watching differently. He studied Pirlo. Zidane. Players who moved like chess pieces, not bullets. Players who made the ball run for them. That night, Ronaldo picked up a pen and wrote 3 words in his notebook. Think faster. Move less. It wasn't a surrender. It was a shift. And it changed everything. The first time he lied to a coach. He was cleared. Medically, at least. The scans looked good. The knee was stable. The physios gave the green light. But deep down, he knew something was still off. Not physically, mentally. He didn't trust it. The leg. The acceleration. Himself. But when the coach asked, "You ready?" he nodded. Of course. That was the first lie. Not out of pride. Out of fear. Fear that if he said no, he'd lose his place. Fear that the world would move on without him. Fear that his image, the indestructible machine, might start to crack. So he put on the jersey, laced up the boots, and walked onto the pitch with a storm inside. It was a friendly match. Nothing at stake. But for Ronaldo, it felt like a test he hadn't studied for. The first sprint felt wrong. Not painful. Just cautious. The ball came to him. He took a touch, then another. Passed it backward. The bench clapped. But he knew. This wasn't him. At halftime, the assistant coach pulled him aside. "You're playing scared." Ronaldo didn't respond. Because it was true. He finished the game without a goal, without a dribble, without a moment. And when he got back to the locker room, he sat alone, staring at his boots. That night, he wrote again in his notebook. "I lied. But I won't do it again." The next day, he requested private sessions. No cameras. No teammates. Just him and a trainer. He drilled for hours. Cutting. Turning. Sprinting. Falling and getting back up. One drill, he collapsed after a full sprint. His chest heaving, sweat pouring. The trainer said, "You want to stop?" Ronaldo looked up, wiped his face, and said, "No. I want to believe again." That was the real recovery. Not the leg. The faith. The training nobody saw. It started before sunrise. No cameras. No entourage. Just an empty field, a bag of balls, and one man who couldn't sleep. Ronaldo didn't wait for the team sessions anymore. He needed something more. Something raw. He needed to feel the ball like it was part of him again. He set up cones in silence. Measured out distances like a surgeon. Every detail mattered now. Not because he was broken, but because he refused to be less than whole. Dribble. Turn. Shoot. Repeat. Not once or twice. Hundreds. He brought an old video camera one morning. Not for the press. For himself. He wanted to study his posture, his explosion off the mark, the angle of his knees. When he watched the footage back, he didn't look at the goal. He looked at the first step after every touch. Was he hesitating? Was the fear still there? At first, yes. But day by day, the stutter disappeared. The delay vanished. It became instinct again. By the third week, he added resistance bands. Then weights. Then sprints after shots. It wasn't just training anymore. It was warfare. Against doubt. One day, he showed up limping. The trainer frowned. "We can stop." Ronaldo shook his head. "Then it wins." He hit 37 free kicks that day. Made 31. Collapsed. Smiled. Later that week, a teammate found him sleeping in the locker room. Fully dressed. Boots still on. He laughed and said, "You live here now?" Ronaldo half opened one eye. "Better than dreaming I'm losing." That's when it was clear. He wasn't just recovering. He was rewriting what it meant to come back. The return they never expected. The fixture was small. Midweek. Mid-table opponent. No lights, no pressure. At least not for the crowd. But for Ronaldo, it was everything. He was back on the bench. Shirt tucked, boots tight, jaw clenched. The coach hadn't promised minutes. Just, "We'll see how the game goes." First half? Uneventful. Second half? 0-0. Flat tempo. Then, minute 71. Sub-board lights up. Number 7. As he jogged to the touchline, a ripple went through the stadium. Not cheers. Not gasps. Something quieter, curiosity. What would he be now? First touch, he turned a defender inside out. Second, he broke a line with the back heel. Third, he drew a foul near the box. Free kick. He picked up the ball, kissed it, placed it. The wall was shaky. The keeper shuffled. Ronaldo stepped back. Breathed. And struck. The ball curled, dipped, kissed the underside of the bar, and landed in the net like a whisper. The stadium didn't explode. It inhaled. Then it roared. His teammates mobbed him, but Ronaldo didn't scream. He looked to the stands, to the sky, then to the bench. Eyes met eyes. He was back. But different. Not just faster. Not just stronger. Smarter. Sharper. Meaner. Later, in the tunnel, a reporter caught him. "Welcome back," she said. He smiled. "I never left. I just came back better." That night, he didn't write in his notebook. He didn't need to. He closed it and opened a new one. Sometimes, the moments no one sees are the ones that define everything. Ronaldo didn't just come back. He rebuilt himself, piece by piece, until even doubt couldn't recognize him. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next untold chapter in the Ronaldo Chronicles.